We're live. So this is a new software, or not software, but I haven't done Restream like this before. So hopefully this is going to all the social channels, and and hopefully we're going to get some messages in here to see how many people engage, because I know that this, Sean, this has really been a lot of people have been buzzing about this. So as soon as I posted this on my social channel, people have been private messaging me saying, like, this is something I'm really interested in too. So I'm glad to have you here to talk about all things crypto.
There's been a lot of buzz in the last the last 24 hours with the whole Elon Musk thing. So
yeah, so we'll have to get into that.
We probably have to talk about that.
For sure, yeah, it's interesting. So I guess if anybody wants to know, I mean, hopefully people know who I am because they're following on my channel. So tell anybody who's watching a little bit of, how did you get involved in cryptocurrency?
I started looking at it about 4 years ago. Started investing about 3 years ago. Opened my own mine in an industrial location. Started running about 30 servers. I swing trade, I day trade. I'm involved in the blockchain technology. I'm a lover of blockchain. I'm a lover of Bitcoin.
So just all self-taught.
Yeah, all self-taught.
Yeah.
There's nowhere you can really go to get a degree in Bitcoin right now. So
right. Yeah. I feel the same thing. And so I know that we are streaming live because I've got my friend Amy saying hello, and my friend John Barringer is saying hello too. So the people are definitely tuned in. So that makes me happy. Thank you, Amy and John, for letting us so you can see us. And like Sean, you and I have had this discussion before that I'm self-taught in social media and an early adopter to basically digital technologies as well, which I think I told you before was, excuse me, what excites me is I got that same like spidey sense tingling thing going on about this cryptocurrency stuff as I did when I was first introduced to sort of the World Wide Web back in, I guess, 96, and the same thing with social media back in 96. I sort of like, there's something about this. So I'm so glad to talk to you about this, because you sound to me like really know what you're talking about, because I know nothing about this at all. So, okay, so when we talked, you and I just really were introduced last week. And so tell me a little bit about where you, like, what are the basics of cryptocurrency, and why is this happening?
So to understand cryptocurrencies, we have to kind of take a look at dollars or money. We call it fiat currency. Back in the day, they used salt, gold, seashells, wheat. They used this to exchange value for goods and services. Our dollar used to be backed by gold. In the USA, it's no longer backed by gold. They went up to gold standard in 1971. Dollars are centralized. That means one entity controls it, the banking system or the government. There's an unlimited supply of dollars. The governments and banks can print as much as they want. This can cause inflation. The more money the government prints, the less buying power you have with your dollar. That's pretty much where Bitcoin started. That's the problem that arose. We've had digital forms of money for quite some time. We've had Visa, we've had MasterCard. Your banking card is a digital currency, essentially. We put a huge amount of trust in the government and the banking system to protect our money. The banks run their own private ledger. We can always look at the ledger to see what transactions are going on. We can't spot misuse of funds. We can't spot potential problems that happen in the banking system until it's too late. So Bitcoin essentially is a better mousetrap. It was invented in 2008 by an unknown person or group of people. They called themselves Satoshi Nakamoto. The Bitcoin blockchain is a public ledger. It records the Bitcoin transactions. I'm going to try to dumb this down as much as I can. So
yeah, well, because this is all new to me. I know nothing about money. I know nothing about capital markets, all this stuff. So yes, keep it super simple, because I'm.
Bear with me. I'm going to try. When you think of a ledger in a bank, they just keep track of who owns what and where it's going, and that's essentially what blockchain is. It's a public ledger that anybody can view. To secure the blockchain, we have people going in and mining.
So the mining secures it? Or that's how you can earn some. That's one way you can earn money, right?
And then you're earning Bitcoin at the same time. So to mine half the supply of Bitcoin took 4 years. So the first 4 years we mined half the supply of Bitcoin. To mine the remainder of Bitcoin will take another 120 years. It's an artificial process called Bitcoin halving. So every 4 years, the payout gets less. So it gets 50% less every 210,000 blocks. It's a monetary policy based on artificial scarcity. The total number of Bitcoins will be 21 million. So that's
it. So once 21 million hits and people have bought up 21 million Bitcoins. So where are we now?
So currently we have about 18 million Bitcoin in circulation. We believe that we've lost 2 to 3 million due to people just losing their keys or just throwing them in the garbage when, you know, Bitcoin wasn't worth anything.
Well, because it's not really, it's the whole setup, Sean, is so confused. You've given me a couple of websites to sort of play with. But that whole setup of like the wallet, and it's just so prohibitive. Like, I think that's why some people are tuning in here, is because like we want to know from like a layperson's standpoint of like, if we're interested and we want to get involved, how, and I think I told you before last weekend or last Friday when we were speaking, is I set up something on Coinbase because I was like, I don't know how this works. I put in $100. I'm just trying to open it up here. I put in $100. Like, I think it was like maybe 3 years ago, I put in $100, and you know, I told you it went down to like $25 at one point, and now as of today, that $100 is worth over 500 in a little thing called 500. Well, when it was 515 this morning, and it's gone to 505. So you know, the volatility is another reason why people are like, I don't know about this cryptocurrency stuff too, right? Which is a whole other story. So why do you think, sorry, I should just direct my comment. My question is, why do you think this is the currency of the future?
Well, currently there's millions of people around the world who don't have access to banking systems. You know, if they're living under a dictatorship, they might be scared that the government will come in and freeze their accounts or take their money. Bitcoin allows anybody in the world with a smartphone to own and control their own money. Transaction fees are very low. Transferring money from country to country can be done in, you know, at the speed of light. You don't have to go through Western Union. You don't have to. As I said, everything's public, so it's. I forget the terminology for it, but it's pseudo anonymous. So we can tell what's being sent and where it's being sent. We just don't know who's sending it. Mm-hmm.
Which is where, I mean, now we're going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, where the whole dark web thing was happening with the Silk Road. And because I've watched a few documentaries on this stuff, I'm like, this stuff is still it's so beyond my comprehension. I still don't really get it. But you say this is really the way of the future, and that's what we were talking about last Friday. And so far as like, you think, you know, it's really going to become something, and this is why. Is this why it's grown so much in such a short period of time? And why is all the buzz happening about cryptocurrency?
Well, Bitcoin is the internet of money. So it's going to be the world changing when it comes to the financial system. There's a lot of naysayers to Bitcoin. They have their points. Back a couple years ago, they were making the point that Bitcoin was used for nefarious purposes and illegal activity. You know, it was always pointed out that most illegal activity is actually done with the US dollar, you know, fiat, not Bitcoin. Doing illegal activity with Bitcoin, you know, might not be a good idea because it's tracked, you know.
Well, there's people that went to jail too once they were able to pinpoint those people that were.
The government actually loves Bitcoin for drug deals because it's very easy. Once they identify who owns the wallet, they can track where the money came from, where it went. For the nefarious purposes, I think that's gone away. I don't think people talk about that anymore. I think they understand that Bitcoin is an open ledger, and if you're going to do illegal activity on there, you probably want to go to a privacy coin or something that's not tracked.
So people like myself, I mean, you said you got your parents involved in Bitcoin, like not just Bitcoin specifically, but cryptocurrency, right? So I'm curious to know why you think like this is going to continue to grow. Again, I don't know enough about capital markets or anything to do with like all of that stuff to understand sort of the foundation of it. But I am sort of curious to know like a little bit more about why you think this is just going to continue to evolve in the future.
Well, that's a good point.
Or, you know, there's another question that someone's asked, and it's unfortunately I don't know whose name it is. It's coming from LinkedIn. So, can you talk about some of the necessary personal IT security that is required to maintain a wallet? So that's also something that, as I said before, I'm like such a newbie in all this, like the cold storage or the VPN or the Tor. Or I'm just the whole thing just kind of like.
So when you take control of your own funds and you become your own bank, you become in charge of making sure your private keys are safe and stored in a place where you can access them. If you don't want that responsibility, you can store your crypto on with a company that will take custody of your coin and act as your bank. So going through the Tor network and going through all this, it really, you don't need to do that. You just need to make sure that you have a strong password and you write down your keys and you keep them in a safe spot. Mm-hmm. When people talk about their Bitcoin getting hacked and stolen, that's not because they're attacking the network. That means they've attacked your computer. They found your private keys. Writing your private keys down in plain sight or unencrypted is suicide, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and somebody else also asked me about the basically the environmental impact, and you told me too that it's doing a number on your hydro bill because you're mining, and I can't imagine that there are so many other people that are going to be mining like you are. I mean,
Well, we have that Elon Musk comment on Twitter that really crashed the market a couple of days ago. Mm-hmm. I was looking up some statistics, and the world generates 160,000 terawatt hours of electricity per year. So if you understand how the electricity is created, if you don't use it, it just goes to waste. So 50,000 terawatt hours is wasted. That's about 30% of the electricity we create is wasted. The Bitcoin miners use 127 terawatts. So it's very small peanuts compared to what we're creating in the world. Bitcoin miners, their profitability is dictated by the price they get their electricity. They're not going and paying 11 cents a kilowatt hour. They're going after the 30% that's not being used. Bitcoin miners are going to the end of the earth to find cheap, clean power. And they're not sucking the oceans dry. They're not taking your power. They're using the excess power. So in my mind, this power wouldn't be used if Bitcoin miners didn't step in. So I see Bitcoin as green. What's the cost of securing our money? Securing, $2 trillion in the Bitcoin market. It costs money to secure this. We use electricity to secure this money.
Hmm. And so, how would somebody want to get started? I see somebody else's comment on here. They want to talk about other popular coins like ETH. ETH is Ethereum, right? Is that right? And then is it pronounced Doge?
It's Dogecoin.
Yeah, I thought it was Doge, and someone says no, you have to pronounce it Doja. I was like, okay.
Guess depending where you're from.
So how do people get started? As I said, I started with this Coinbase wallet, and now I realized if I wanted to add some more, money into there, the payment method had all changed and everything like that. You've given me some other tools in order to get started, and I'm just kind of, apparently we're getting feedback. BitBuy is the one that I've already put. I put $100 in there because that's like the minimum amount. And you've given me two different sites. You said BitBuy and BlockFi are the two websites that you had me set up. So, like, how does one get started in that?
So once you register with BitBuy, it's very simple. So you can do an e-transfer to them. So they give you a username and password. You send the e-transfer to First Ledger Group. It's just an email address. You send $100 with the username and password, and that funds gets deposited into your BitBuy account. And from there, you can just purchase Bitcoin. So now you own the Bitcoin. Once you've done that, you can pull the Bitcoin out to your private wallet, or you can use a site. And for beginners, I like using sites like BlockFi or Nexos because you will earn interest on your money. So right now, BlockFi will give you 5% interest on your Bitcoin just for leaving it in BlockFi. And they'll take custody of your Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to control your private keys. They take your ID, they take all your information. If you ever lose your password or your login, you can go to them and retrieve it.
Okay. And so, yeah, so it's the idea is you just get set up, you put your information in there. And I remember with one of them, I had to take a photograph of my license, only one of them. I think it was the BlockFi one. I had to put my license in there as well. And then do you just go in there and just, buy when it goes low and sell when it goes high, or like?
Yeah, so it's part of know your customer laws. They want to know who's purchasing the Bitcoin. So once you purchase a Bitcoin, it's going into a wallet. If they were ever to track that Bitcoin, they would do forensics on the blockchain, and they would find out that Leslie purchased this Bitcoin. It went into this wallet. It was then transferred over to BlockFi. So what was your original question again?
Yeah. So is it just you put your money in there and you just buy when it's low and sell when it's high? Is that sort of like the goal? And like when really should someone buy? At what point?
I get asked the question a lot. Is it too late? And I don't believe it's too late. I believe we're just in the beginning years of seeing what's going to happen. We have huge companies just buying in millions and billions of dollars at a time. There's less Bitcoin on the market right now than there ever has been. Purchasing Bitcoin, usually you obviously do not want to buy at an all-time high. You want to wait for those 10% dips, and we call it cost averaging. Mm-hmm. So if you have $10,000 you want to put in, you would probably do $200 or $300 a week. You would purchase every week as the price dips. So cost averaging your way is the best way to get into a position.
And ideally, once you see something dip, like I noticed, like in the past few days, it sort of dipped down because I think, well, whatever Elon Musk, when he says something, and so I guess it was because he's no longer accepting Bitcoin payments, so then it dropped by 10% and so forth.
So Elon Musk, the company was very unique. So a lot of companies will come out and say, we're going to accept Bitcoin. But truly what they're doing is accepting Bitcoin and then converting it to cash. So it's kind of like a PR stunt. What Tesla did was they accepted Bitcoin, they ran their own nodes, and they're holding the Bitcoin. They're not changing it back to dollars. So when Tesla announced, they announced some fear about the electricity. I don't think Tesla fully understands how the electricity is used, and that the Bitcoin miners are basically using that 30% that nobody wants anyways. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Yeah, so it's just, I mean, the volatility, I think that's what some people are really concerned about, is really the volatility of it, because people still like we all know, like it's in its infancy. Nobody really knows what's happening. People that I know that are in sort of traditional financial institutions are saying, let's say, it's so you can't be like swayed by this. This is ridiculous. But I mean, you made some really good points to me last week when you said like there are certain places that are accepting Bitcoin now, or not just Bitcoin, but like cryptocurrency as payment. I mean, we use Bitcoin as like the sort of like it's kind of like saying Band-Aids as opposed to like adhesive bandages, but there's a bunch of different kinds of cryptocurrencies as well. So anyway, I'm kind of going all over the place, but what's the difference between like a Bitcoin and Ethereum or a Dogecoin? Like what's the difference between any of those?
Bitcoin it's kind of developed and morphed into a store of value. Its main competition would be gold. So gold has $8 trillion invested in it right now. Bitcoin itself has $1 trillion. So, Bitcoin is a store of value, where Ethereum is built on a technical application. So it's out there doing smart contracts and doing all the innovation in the market. Bitcoin strictly is a store of value right now.
Okay.
So you can consider Bitcoin like gold.
They all do different things then, is that right? They all do different things?
Well, Dogecoin is an interesting case because Dogecoin was made as a joke.
Right.
It really doesn't have a purpose. Investing in Dogecoin is strictly speculation. I don't see a long life for Dogecoin. You see Dogecoin kind of pumping up and then trailing off and pumping up and trailing off as it gets popular and unpopular. I don't see Dogecoin being around because it just doesn't serve any purpose. They don't have smart contracts. They don't have NFTs. There's no innovation going on on that coin. Mm-hmm. And there's an unlimited supply of it.
Right. So what people should be looking for is something that has a limited supply.
Yes, something. So investing in Bitcoin, I don't think you can ever go wrong with investing in Bitcoin. Most people are investing in altcoins to try to build their Bitcoin collection, to try to earn more Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're scared of the volatility and you're looking to strictly invest and hold for 5 years, Bitcoin is always a safe bet.
Mm-hmm.
If you're investing in Cardano, or you're investing in Ethereum, or you're investing in some of these other coins, who knows where they're going to be in a couple of years.
Yeah, and there's so many different ones that are coming up all the time. I saw that Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg he was creating, and I think they changed the name of it, but he's in the process of creating some kind of coin as well. Isn't that right?
Yeah, he's creating a stable coin.
Right.
If Facebook is allowed to create a stable coin, they will become the biggest bank in the world. It's pretty scary.
Well, it is pretty scary already for knowing what Facebook is already tracking about us already. Yeah. So okay. So going back to, because again, I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around this. So I set up an account with BlockFi. I put in $100, and then you're saying like always, just continue to buy every time it sort of dips a little bit. Or you were even saying to me like every paycheck put in a little 10% for that dollar cost.
I would never advocate for anybody going all in and blowing all their savings on Bitcoin.
Right.
I advocate for small amounts and purchasing at a steady rate over time. When we go through the bull market, the prices are going to go insane. We're in a bull market right now. We've seen prices, go from 13,000 to 65,000. So if you're buying at 65,000, you want to be careful. You don't, if you have 10,000 to put in, you want to cost average your way in slowly. And if you had cost average your way in for the last few years, your average buying price would be, $8,000-9,000, right? If you had just put in, 5 or 10% of your paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
I would never advocate for anybody to go all in immediately. You want to purchase little bits slowly over time. A lot of people ask me how much Bitcoin they should hold, what they should be holding on to, what's a good amount to hold, and my answer is always 10% of a Bitcoin. If you're willing to hold 10% of a Bitcoin for the next 5 years, you're going to do very well.
Yeah, because there are a lot of predictions that this is the year. This is the year that we're going to see a lot of growth. And I think that's kind of implied as well, right?
My predictions for Bitcoin is I'm fairly confident we'll break $100,000. So $130,000 is kind of my. I think that's where we're going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a good chance we could push to $280,000.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the past bull markets, we tend to end the bull market with a blow off top. So I would expect to see something like $150,000, and then within 2 days, just 280, and then right back down.
Okay. Yeah, because I see this like it's going up and then it goes down, then it goes it is really volatile compared to, obviously. I mean, as I said, I'm not sort of dabbling in stocks or anything like that, but I think that's the fear that people see. But you're saying like put it in and hold it. Just sort of like a little bit of an insurance. Yeah.
If you're looking to make a quick dollar, this is probably not the market for you. You want to be able to start putting in money slowly and to hold for at least 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're going to make your money.
Right. And right now the government isn't going to can they tax it?
To tell you the truth, I haven't pulled any out.
Yeah.
So I haven't figured out what the taxes are going to be. I know it's an evolving system and it's changing.
Right.
I'm not sure what the tax implications are going to be when it's time to pull out, but I'm assuming it's going to change a lot in the next 5 years. So I wouldn't be worried about the tax implications immediately because, you're not going to be pulling out for a couple of years.
Right. So you're saying so if anybody's interested in, put in a little bit, anything that you're willing to lose, and then just hold it. And kind of like you would with any kind of, like in Canada, we have like RRSPs, or in the States, I guess it's a 401k or something like that. It's kind of the same idea, right? That you would put this in for, from a long-term standpoint.
A lot of people are scared of the volatility. To me, volatility is life. The market's moving, it moves up, it moves down. Bitcoin, it's lost 80% of its value 3 times in the history of Bitcoin. More than likely that's going to happen again. So, you buy all the way down, you buy all the way up, and you cost average your way in. And at the end of the day, you're in the middle somewhere.
Okay. And I don't know if this is a question you can answer, and I don't even know if it's a question I need to know about, but they're just like anything else, like the intangibility. It's like this. So some person that we don't even know who it is came up with this idea of Bitcoin, and now it's, it's worth, how much do you say it's kind of worth, or do you know?
Today, I believe it's 51,000, I believe it is today.
So 51,000 for one Bitcoin.
One Bitcoin. And that's USD.
Okay.
Right.
So that's where I think everyone's sort of like, I don't understand how this works. Like, it's not as if there's like one specific, but then the same thing, like money is, the tangibility of money. And
a lot of people don't understand is that you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy, 1% of a Bitcoin. You can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. You can buy $10 worth of Bitcoin. So a lot of people think that you have to jump in and immediately spend, $50,000, $60,000. You don't. You can buy $10 a day. You can buy, whatever your coffee costs. You can just put it in.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, like, as I said, so I bought it, just kind of goofing around. I put in $100, and then, I was telling all look how fancy I am. I went into here and I put in $100, and it's already, and it made like $200 within like a few weeks. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then it dropped down to $20 when I was like, well, okay, so maybe the bubble is going to burst, because as we know, that can happen as well. Things that we think are going to be the future of sometimes can happen.
I hear that a lot. I hear the bubble is going to burst.
Right.
The internet was a bubble. It burst.
Yeah.
And look at us now. Look at us. It changed the way we do business. It changed the way we interact with people. It changed our whole lives. So if cryptocurrency is a bubble, it might pop.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's going to die.
It doesn't mean it's going to go away. So like the dot bombs or so I remember working in a .com like in the year 2000, I worked at a .com that didn't survive. A lot of venture capital was thrown at it. It was not one of the ones that survived through that time. But again, look at the internet now. So
when you're investing in Bitcoin, you're not investing in a .com startup. You're investing in the internet itself.
Okay.
So you're investing in the true technology behind what runs the internet. So if someone told you 20 years ago that you could invest, in the internet or in hydro, in electrical, you're investing in a service that lays the foundation.
Right. Okay. If I can get my head wrapped around that. So my friend John Berenger says that he, or I think, I thought it was John, but maybe it's somebody else. Somebody else said their tax accountant was required to answer if they had any earnings from either mining or trading crypto. So I guess the disclosure must be there now. If you're making money, you have to disclose it to the government, because they want their piece.
I like the fact that the government's taxing us on it, because it legitimizes it. If they're making money, they're not going to outright ban it or go against it too hard.
Yeah. And so one of the things that you were telling me about in our conversation too was like that China is really spending a lot of effort and time and money into these cryptocurrencies, right? Are they the leaders right now in cryptocurrencies?
They have the majority of the hash power. I see a day when as cryptocurrency grows, that the U.S. and Canada will want to make sure that the hashing power is on Canadian and U.S. soil. We started talking about green energy and the way the miners are going after green energy. So start doing startups in Canada where the hash power is on Canadian soil, using hydroelectric or using solar or wind. I think those days are coming.
And so when you mean by hash power, you mean like that's where so basically if I can figure this out, which tell me if I'm wrong, hash power is kind of like is like the electricity that helps you mine the coins. Is that right? So it's like it would be like if you needed to turn the lights on in your house to see things, hash power is really what is the energy for mining the Bitcoins. Is that right?
Okay, so when we mine, the computer is working to solve a problem. The quicker it can solve the problem, the more hash power it has. So it's the more compute power. The quicker they can solve that mathematical equation. So the first one. So if you have a ledger, you're trying to how do I explain this? You need somebody. So I'm transferring Bitcoin from me to you.
Mm-hmm.
We need somebody to confirm that transaction and enter it into the blockchain onto a ledger. How do we do that? We need somebody we trust, but what we need is somebody who has a stake in the game and somebody who it's done completely at random. So to find that random person, the miners come on and they try to solve an equation. The first miner to solve that equation is allowed to enter that information onto the ledger or onto the blockchain. I hope I explained that right.
It still goes. It's very complicated in my brain. It doesn't necessarily make. I just want to make some money. That's all. That's all I'm interested in, Sean. I'm like, I just want to make some money, honey. And so I guess maybe all of that mining stuff. Most people aren't going to be miners, right? I know. You had a brief conversation with my kid, and you think like this is a really good place for kids to actually. Not necessarily a good place for kids, but my son has an interest in sort of finances, money, and computers, and you're saying like it's possible that if he has the right equipment, which he sort of doesn't have the right equipment, that his computer could be making like very tiny amounts of Bitcoin by mining it.
So if you're mining Bitcoin, you can't mine Bitcoin on a computer. You need a very specific type of machine.
Oh, I see. Okay.
An ASIC machine.
Okay.
But what you can mine on your computer is you can mine Ethereum, you can mine Ravencoin. These coins are mined using your video card, your processor on your video card.
Which is why we can't buy one right now. My son's been trying to buy a graphics card for over a year, and he can't seem to get one. Is because the miners are buying them up. Is that right?
And it's not just the miners. It's people who want to mine. It's not some industrial company going around buying up video cards. It is that as well, but it's also the population. They want to. If they can spend a few $1,000s on a video card and they can make that money back within 6 months, it's a no-brainer for them, right?
Right. Yeah. But most of us aren't going to be doing that because, you're like, you have these superpowers. You know everything there is to do about, the hardware side of things. And most of us are just going to be complete. Sorry.
Most of you will be purchasing Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin for a long time. You won't care too much about who's mining or what they're mining, or this is all background stuff.
Yeah, because I couldn't get into the technology of that stuff. Like you and my son were able to sort of like talk about different things. I was just like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and I would assume that most people are not going to have any idea how to do any of that background stuff. David Blackmore is asking, what's your take on Dogecoin and smaller coins that are getting a lot of news right now?
Well, there's been Dogecoin has been pumped by Elon Musk. It's kind of gone parabolic. It's a really trendy coin. It seems to have the ears of everybody. It's lost about 30% of its value in the last couple of days. To me, Dogecoin it's a scary coin. It's holding that long term would be absolute suicide. We're seeing all these. Back in the day, when we had these coins that really served no purpose, the creators of these coins would come out and promise, all this stuff and just never deliver. Now we're starting to see coins come out where they're not even promising anything. So that Shiba Inu coin that just came out and it went up, 5,000% in a day. We're seeing, you got to be really careful. So. Investing in coins that have value, investing in coins that have been around and that have proven themselves. Some of my favorite coins are, Litecoin, Cardano, Chainlink, Filecoin. These are good projects that have a purpose. Dogecoin doesn't. It really, you're investing in, when people say that Bitcoin's not backed by anything, and Dogecoin really is that. Dogecoin really is just moving up because it's popular. When the bear market hits, somebody's going to be left holding the bag with Dogecoin.
Kind of like a pyramid scheme in a
way? Kind of like Beanie Babies, maybe.
Kind of like Beanie Babies. Yeah, the popularization of that, and then now they're not worth anything, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, just jumping onto an exchange and buying a lot of new investors, the one thing they tell me is I'm going to go on the exchange and buy, $5 of every coin. And then I try to explain to them that there's 4,000 coins out there. Doing that would not work. It will not make you money. You'll lose more than you make 100-fold. So you have to do your research when purchasing coin. To me, the safe bet is you're buying coin to up the amount of Bitcoin you have. So in the end, you really want to buy Bitcoin. You really want to cost average your way in. And once you learn the technology and learn the market, you're going to find projects that really resonate with you. And when you find those projects, go ahead and invest a little bit of money. But investing in a bull market is fine. But when the bear market hits, a lot of these altcoins lose 99% of their value. So Bitcoin might lose 80% of its value, but these altcoins lose 99% of their value. So as soon as the bear market comes, you want to be out of all altcoins. You want to be sitting in Bitcoin, or you want to be sitting in a coin that's pegged to the US dollar, like Tether. So Tether is a coin that is pegged to the US dollar. So it's worth $1 today. It'll be worth $1 in 5 years. So if the bull market is coming to an end, you might want to jump into Tether and wait for that, Bitcoin to retrace and then purchase your position back.
So do these cryptocurrencies, do they usually follow the same trend as like the US dollar, or like however the stock market is working? Do they typically follow the same pattern?
If the stock market's doing low, they'll usually take a hit. Sometimes they'll deviate a little bit from it. I'm trying to think what else. A lot of the altcoins will follow Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin starts moving up, the alts will follow behind. So when you're purchasing an altcoin, you really want your altcoin to do better than Bitcoin. You want your altcoin, if Bitcoin goes up 5%, you want your altcoin to be up 10%, so you can convert back to Bitcoin.
Because that's what I was told. It was a few years ago, and so the connection of mine told me to put more in Ethereum than Bitcoin. So I was just like, okay, I still don't know what I'm doing. You're helping me chip away at it a little bit, but I still don't get most of it.
Ethereum's done quite well. Ethereum is done about 2 or 3x better than Bitcoin this bull cycle so far. But this bull cycle is not over. I think we're only about halfway through this bull cycle. So I think Bitcoin's got a long way to go. So once you miss the rush on Ethereum, I don't think it's a good idea to put your money in Ethereum right now. Ethereum's at $4,000. We hear estimates that it might hit $10,000 by the end of the bull run. It's a good investment. It's just we've already missed the rush. We've already missed the it going from $1,500 to $4,000. So you would be buying the top right now. Whereas Bitcoin, I still think we're going to breach $100,000. So Bitcoin's always a safe bet.
So are you saying I should move my Ethereum out and put it into Bitcoin? Is that your?
If you're already in Ethereum and you purchased it a couple months ago, I would just hold Ethereum for now.
You just hold it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll be like, Sean, when should I set myself? Like, and you're not. I mean, you're not. With the stock market, the people have to get licensed, right? I mean, there's certain. I mean, this is all uncharted territory because, as you said, you're just self-taught. There aren't any licenses one can get in order to ask, to manage this for other people and so forth. So it's just still, again, my brain is still so rattled as to
once you start investing in Bitcoin, you start watching the price and you start understanding what it's doing and why it's doing, the price structure. We're coming off of a massive dump from that Elon Musk tweet. So I went in and bought the dip. A lot of my friends and family, we went in and bought the dip. We were buying at 49,000, 47,000. So So
his voice really matters a lot in all these cryptocurrencies because his voice carry a lot. Yeah.
Elon Musk sneezes and Dogecoin goes up.
Right. Yeah. But you're saying if Facebook comes out with one, which I think they were going to call it Libra, and I think you might have thought about changing the name or something like that. You're saying
it was originally Libra. I forget what the new name change is.
It was just recent, the past couple of days, or even today, that I just noticed that they're thinking about changing the name.
I don't know if they're going to come out with a coin. It kind of makes sense for them, but it's a scary proposition with them having so much control already.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding. And the funny part about it, I remember when Zuckerberg came out with saying I want this frictionless sharing. And he wanted everyone to share everything, and I don't know. I'm a little I'm a little long in the tooth to sort of be like, I want to share everything with everyone at all. I mean, I'm a chatty girl, that, but I was just like, do I want to share that much information about myself? And now we realize he's been data mining all of that stuff. Anyway, that's a whole other story. So David Blackmore's asking, what is the lowest you would start your investment?
Currently, right now, it's an amazing time to buy. $50,000. You know, it's a perfect time to buy.
50,000. Oh, you're saying that's how much it is. So I was going to be like, you want people to invest 50? I don't have 50.
No, asking how much he should invest or what price he should start jumping in.
Yeah, what's the lowest you'd start? Like what?
I have a friend who started with $200.
Right.
And
I started with 100.
Yeah, he put in 200. He put in 100. He put in 300. He currently stores his money over on BlockFi, so he makes 5% interest on his money.
Mm-hmm.
When you start getting large amounts of money, that 5% really adds up really quick. And BlockFi pays you out in Bitcoin. So if they pay you out $5 in Bitcoin,
mm-hmm.
What's that going to be worth in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can invest. Vimeo is taking Bitcoin orders now, so I think you can invest as little as $10.
Mm.
It doesn't take much. Yeah, it's literally you can invest a cup of coffee basically.
Well, yeah, that one account that I set up today, the BitBuy, it was a minimum of $100 to get started. Yeah.
Every company is going to be a little different. I gave my when I first started doing Bitcoin, I gave my daughter $20 in Bitcoin, just to see if it would spark some interest in her.
Right.
And currently, that Bitcoin is worth $400. Like it's
right. Yeah.
It doesn't take a whole lot. It's consistent buying.
Right.
So a lot of people have been calling me over the past day asking, should I buy? And yeah, $50,000 is a great buy right now.
So people should be investing now.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
Right now, don't go all in right now, but start cost averaging your way in. If you're planning on putting $1,000 into the market, start with $100 buy. Start with a $200 buy.
Okay. And so, like, you've given me a couple of different channels there, and David Blackmore is asking, is Coinbase a good platform? But you've given me both the bitbuy.ca and BlockFi. I guess that the bitbuy.ca is for Canadians and BlockFi, but they seem to be doing both of the same. Are they the same?
Yeah. So I'm kind of set in my ways. So I can't speak too much for Coinbase. I know of Coinbase. Right. I don't use Coinbase. I've developed a trusted relationship with BitBuy. There's other companies coming out. They might be cheaper, but it's all about who you trust. So okay.
Because you're giving your money out to something that you're like, I don't know who these people are. I don't know if they're just it's a scam, right? Because that can happen.
I found BitBuy to be very straightforward and easy because I walk a lot of people through purchasing on BitBuy, and it's very easy. So once you have a BitBuy account, if somebody uses your referral code, you both get $20. So you get a little bit kickback every now and again, right?
For a BitBuy. And then BlockFi is the exact same thing?
Exact same thing. So BlockFi, you're not purchasing Bitcoin on there. BlockFi, you can do very simple trades. So you can trade 4 different cryptocurrencies on there. So you can exchange your Bitcoin for Chainlink with a click of a button. You can't purchase Bitcoin on BlockFi. So BlockFi.
You're going to have to walk me through this when we're not on camera. I'm so lost.
BlockFi, think of BlockFi like your savings account. So think about it as your bank. So you're putting your Bitcoin on there. You're earning interest. If you want to jump out of your Bitcoin position and go into Tether or go into Chainlink, you can do that very easily.
Okay. So if I have my...
one more thing I wanted to point out is BlockFi will... once you put Bitcoin on BlockFi, you're pre-approved for a loan. So they'll loan you money at 5.9% interest. And you're pre-approved because you're loaning it against your Bitcoin. So if you ever, let's say you have $5,000 in Bitcoin and you fall in hard times, well, the last thing you want to do is sell your Bitcoin. So a better option may be to borrow against your Bitcoin.
Okay. All right. You're going to have to walk me through. We're going to have another session to talk about this stuff too, because even David Blackmore is like, is there a way to get a referral and a connection to you? So how can people reach you if they want to reach and ask you about more information about this?
So my LinkedIn profile, I believe they can click on my LinkedIn profile here, can they?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But you're Sean Vlad, so SEANVLA.
My email is seanvlad@gmail.com. So it's just my name at gmail.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on YouTube. So.
Right. And so, can people contact you? Like, are you going to charge like a service to help people walk through this? Have you thought about doing anything like that, or teaching people about how to?
Usually, I do a lot of it pro bono. Just helping people out. If they use my referral links, usually I get a few bucks kickback anyway. So I like talking about the technology, and I like helping people do the technology. I've explained a little bit more about mining and setting up mining rigs on my YouTube channel, which
is called again. I did look at your videos. What was the name of your YouTube channel?
Jeez, hang on, I gotta look it up again.
I know you have a YouTube channel, and you walked through a bunch of different things on there, including like setting up your home theater system and some other things as well.
Yeah, so it's Boot Logic. So BOOTLOGIC.
Okay, BOOTLOGIC for your YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's Boot Logic. I go over some of the setting up an Antminer S9 and mining Bitcoin. The video's a couple months old because I was recommending that people spend $150 on their miner, and the miners cost a lot more now. So you have to understand, if you're investing and you want to mine during a bull market, miners are going to cost a lot more.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So the technology, it's harder to get at it now that people are sort of, there's more buzz happening about it. So I think that's why I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about it, because like.
Well, I was selling miners a couple months ago, and we were selling them for fairly cheap. And as the bull market took off, so did the prices. So purchasing a miner right now would not be a good idea because you're not going to get them at retail. So if you were interested in mining, purchasing the miners during the bear market when no one's paying attention to Bitcoin, that's a good time to purchase them.
Yeah. Okay, because I still haven't got it wrapped around my head, so we might have to like circle back and have another conversation.
Most people don't get it on their very first try.
Right.
You have to kind of think of blockchain as it's essentially just a public ledger. When you're purchasing Bitcoin, you're not actually getting handed over the Bitcoin. What you're doing is you're getting handed a key that unlocks the Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin always stays on the ledger. So that way the books always balance. Nothing ever leaves the ledger. You're just getting, when you purchase Bitcoin, you're just getting a key to access that part, to change that information. So when you wrap your head around that, you'll understand that the books always balance. There's never any money missing because no Bitcoin ever leaves the ledger. So you might want to think about it like a bank vault, right? So the mini vaults that you purchase where you put your key in and you turn it and you take your stuff out. So think Bitcoin like a million of those, okay? And the Bitcoin can never leave the bank vault. All you get is the key to open it and to look at it, but you can never take it out of the bank.
Okay, I still don't. It's still on my head. But what I do want to pivot the conversation, because we've only got about 10 minutes left, because I want to talk a little bit about NFTs, because this is also something. And so the NFTs probably have nothing to do with the cryptocurrencies, but is that right? Do they have nothing to do with each other?
They're all in the same space. So Ethereum will support NFTs. Cardano is going to support NFTs. So they are in the cryptocurrency space. They're not two separate entities. They coexist. So an NFT is a non-fungible token. So it's a way of I'm gonna try my best here. It's a way of proving ownership. So you can create, let's say, a JPEG, and you put it on the blockchain. The blockchain is going to be secured by the same technology that Bitcoin secures its network. So Bitcoin has the most secure network we've ever seen. So you have a way of proving ownership. So if you create something and you put it on the blockchain, it's registered to you. So 20 years down the line, you can refer back to the blockchain and we can refer to ownership. It's very exciting because for the first time, we can actually prove ownership of digital content. So if you were to create an MP3 and you were to pass that around, how do you prove that it's your MP3 or you were the one that created it or you were the first one who minted it? NFTs allow you to do that. So they allow you to rent out the ownership, to pass the ownership. They also allow you to make passive income. So if you created a picture and I license the picture to you and you license a picture to someone else, we all get a kickback from that. We all earn money.
So I was listening to a Clubhouse chat about NFTs yesterday, and it was this hybrid conversation about athletes and artists. And so the artist, obviously, so if I get this right, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I create an art piece, if I'm an artist and I create an art piece and I sell it, I sell the NFT for it. In essence, anytime anybody uses it, it's kind of like a copyright of sorts that basically, yeah.
It's proof of ownership, and whoever owns the NFT owns the art piece.
Right.
So you might lend out the ownership, rent it out for somebody to show your art piece, or you might outright sell the NFT. Selling the NFT, the way the blockchain works is that when the person you sold it to sells it, you'll get a kickback.
Mm-hmm. So let's just say today, like there's, for giggles, like I've heard that there's, let's just say Tom Brady, because he's got a big name out there, and I think he's going to be dabbling in this space in the next little while if he hasn't already. He's coming up with some kind of business that has to do with NFTs. So let's just say I want to get in and early adopt, and I want to buy, Tom Brady throwing the last touchdown for whatever Super Bowl. I'm not into sports, but let's just say and he's selling it, and I want to buy it. Like, is that what's going to happen? Is like that moment is kind of mine if I want to buy it?
Yeah, I don't know if you can log a moment in time. I've seen people selling their tweets online, their very first tweets. Do you own that tweet? You own it, like it's yours, and you can prove you own it, but you can't take it off Twitter. You know what I mean?
Right. It's intellectual capital is kind of what you're saying, whether that capital is like your image or whatever. So it's kind of like if like, and I think musicians, this might be beneficial for musicians, because if a musician puts their song out there and then I want to use it as an intro, or I want to use, and so is that how it's going to work? Is it going to help? Is it going to help artists?
We're still feeling out the space, and we're still trying to figure out how this technology is going to be used. Would I invest in this space right now? No.
No? Okay.
When I see people spending $60 million on a JPEG, that scares me.
It's a little ridiculous. Yeah.
That scares me. Let the technology mature and settle down, and then look at investing. But as of right now, I would stay away from the NFT space. I would not.
Okay. Because it does seem a little weird. Like why would I buy Nyan Cat, or like I've seen the Nyan Cat and Jack Dorsey's first tweet, and Paris Hilton is talking about her fiance is involved in NFTs. So there's a lot of buzz happening about the sort of Paris Hilton saying that she's been in it forever, and
it's going to serve an amazing purpose when it matures. I foresee a day when people may sell their houses as NFTs, and I believe that's already happened. So you can, so they turn their house into an NFT, and then people can buy portions of it, and they'll get kickbacks on the rent. And it's just proof of ownership, and it's just a way of transferring ownership to one person to another, and it's completely secure. And you can add smart contracts on the NFTs. So smart contracts might say something like, you purchased my house for X amount of dollars, and the smart contract may dictate that, if Bitcoin hits a certain price, the NFT is going to revert back to the original owner. Smart contracts just put an if this, and that statement into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can.
I don't know. This is what I'm trying to wrap my head around, Sean, because and I'm sure that people are feeling the same way, is that I couldn't get my head wrapped around how the internet was going to work.
Yes.
In back when I joined in sort of 96, 97, it was sort of like, how does this going to work? Like, people put up images on the computer, and the computer talks to another computer. And so I think that's where, some of us, because it's just uncharted territory, that it's definitely hurting my brain to sort of like figure out how to sort of navigate around all of this. But
one analogy I like for Bitcoin is it is the most secure network on earth. It's unhackable currently. To hack the Bitcoin network, you'd have to control 51% of the hash power. So, it would cost you, $500 billion to acquire that much hash power, and you'd be better off just mining Bitcoin. It pays to play by the rules.
Mm.
It doesn't pay to attack the network. So Bitcoin being the most secure network in the world, I like the example that it's like having the most secure air hanger in the world, and all we're putting in is a tricycle. It can hold so much value. It can hold trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of value, and it's a secure network that can never be hacked, and that's always being updated and checked. So it looks bright for Bitcoin in the future.
Yeah, as I said, I keep hearing these things that this is the year for it, which is why I think so many people are paying attention. But there's still a lot of naysayers out there too that are going to say, like, it's just air. You're buying nothing. There's nothing behind it. You know, like,
you know, right now the naysayers are going on about the electricity concerns, and you know, a couple of years ago it was the people doing illicit purposes with Bitcoin. It seems like they always want to find something, and that's fine. Everyone's has, and that's what I like about the world, is that we can invent new technologies and people will scrutinize it. But before people scrutinize it, they really need to go and check out some of the sites and check out the electricity uses. I mean, you know, Bitcoin only uses 127 terawatt hours of electricity. You know, a lot of things, which is equivalent to Argentina or something, the electrical. You know, a lot of things use as much power as a country. Christmas lights do. You know, video games. You know, we don't complain about video games using too much power. We don't complain about Christmas lights using too much power. The fact of the matter is, we have excess power. When power is created, we can store it in a battery, or we can use it. Other than that, it's gone. It just, you know, you can't. Storing it in a battery is very expensive. So we create a lot more electricity than we use. The whole purpose of Bitcoin mining is they're going after that cheap electricity. They're going after that electricity we don't use. So, and their profits are dictated by that electricity. And if they're using coal or they're using an inefficient system, they're not going to make money. So when people, this argument's going to come up for the next year. I know it will. And I urge people just to go on and look at the statistics and look at what else uses 127 terawatts. You know, there's lots of things out there that use that. You know, Elon Musk. I mean, how much electricity does he use to create a battery? You know, how much damage does he do to the environment creating these batteries for his Teslas? We all create waste, but to me, Bitcoin is worth it. You know, we have to pay in electricity to store our money safely.
Yeah, and I do know, and you know, we're going to wrap up soon, but I do know, like, that I've heard that banks are actually just exploring this kind of technology. They're not quite there yet, but there's certainly some discussions about it anyway. So,
well, they announced in the United States that hundreds of banks are going to be supporting crypto. So people like your mother and father, they won't need someone like me to walk them through it. They can just walk in and open a Bitcoin savings account. It's going to be fantastic in the future. It's going to get easier. And I'm sure the bank will take custody of their Bitcoin, so they don't have to worry about losing their wallet, you know, losing their keys.
Yeah. There's still a lot to discuss anyway. But we're close to the hour, so I definitely, you know, we'll circle back. We'll set another date to chat about this stuff and see if there's any other questions that anybody else has about this stuff. Because, as I said, I'm sure
I'll come up with more facts and figures for our next one. My first time being on live stream with you, so I need to fill you out first. But I'm sure our next conversation will be a little more in depth, and hopefully, I can wrap your head around blockchain technology.
Well, yeah, as I said, you know, because this is uncharted territory, it's like kind of trying to explain, I'm sure for you, it's probably trying to explain electricity to somebody who's like, wait, what? You just turn the light on and there's like all of a sudden, and where does that come from? Is it the air? Like, so, you know, this whole thing, trying to explain it when you understand the concept, because your background is computers, you've been involved in the computer industry for well over 20 years.
And programming, so it was a good fit for me, and it was easy for me to understand the technology. When I saw the technology and I understood it, I realized how life-changing this would be for the world, for the financial system. And I urge everybody, don't blow all your money, but put something in, hedge something, you know, because there's only so much that can go around. And we have companies coming in buying billions of dollars at a time. And there's only so much Bitcoin that'll go around. We don't want the companies controlling all the Bitcoin. We want Bitcoin in the hands of the average Joe. We want people to own Bitcoin and to be able to hold it.
And do you think that'll this will help, you know, like, cause anyway, it's a whole other conversation, but you know, the rich are like the 1%ers, are they dabbling in this, or is this helping sort of level the playing field for the regular folk
to put it in perspective, if every millionaire in the world went to buy Bitcoin, they would only end up with like 0.02% of a Bitcoin or something. There's just not enough to go around. So the average Joe, as I said, right now, 10% of a Bitcoin is something I would hold for the future. And, you know, even if you don't like Bitcoin, why not put a little bit of money in and just hedge, you know, just in case.
A night out for dinner, right?
Yeah, yeah. You know, if you can afford a couple $100, you know, because if you had put a couple $100 in at the start, you would have got Bitcoin for, you know, a penny, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that, I'm hoping, I think Bitcoin one day will breach $1 million. And I think once Bitcoin hits $1 million, $10 million is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
And in 5 years, I foresee companies fighting over half a Bitcoin. You know, they will fight tooth and nail to get their hands on that Bitcoin.
Hmm.
You know,
Bitcoin specifically, not some of these other ones that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Sean. So if people want to get in touch with you, it's seanvlad@gmail.com. So, right, it's SEANVLAD at gmail.com.
Yes.
If anybody has any questions about you, and we're working on your LinkedIn profile as we speak. So that'll be up and running in the next little while. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, Sean. And it's enlightened me a little bit. And maybe next time my 14-year-old will join us, because I know he's definitely interested in this too, but I think he was a little.
I do encourage people to you know, if their children is interested in mining, you know, let them do it. It's really not going to hurt anything, and it may get them interested in the financial institutions. It may get them interested in saving money, and, you know, and the technology itself.
Yeah. All right, Sean. Well, thank you again so much, and we'll talk to you very soon. And now I was going to say I don't know how to end the stream and end the thing, but there's a little button here that tells me to end the stream.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.